Okay, so this one is all about automation, which might be, I don't know, some bits of this go into quite low level, but some of it might be high level, but it's always good to kind of refresh or learn it from scratch if we need to. But a lot of what we do at Optics is around systems, process, procedure, obviously, but a lot of that includes automation where it needs to be done, and it's usually the quickest wins, which people often don't know about, that they can do or link things together, but it's also the cheapest win we can do as well because it saves a hell of a lot of time, and it also means we don't have to build stuff, and so we'll get into that a little bit into this. But this is about how we make process excellence at scale, making sure we're optimizing and getting workflow automation through what we're doing. So we called it automate or stagnate, and so the decision is yours if you want to move forwards or stay in the same place, and we'll have a look at that as well a little bit later. But it's all about reclaiming hours, reducing errors, and scaling with ease. So the big question is your business running you or are you running it? And it's one of our business coach who often says, are you free or are you caged? And in a different way, this is, are you actually attached to the business because you have to be, or can you step away from it as well? And this automation and things we'll discuss today will show how you can kind of step away as well and relinquish some control and give it to other people as well at the same time. But yeah, so who is this person and why does this matter to you? So I'll do the usual optics blurb just in case someone is watching it somewhere in the world who aren't you people who know what we do. Yeah, Optics helps companies with their systems, processes, procedures, and we do that through looking at things like automation, and we look at SOPs, and we look at business process flows, and we find the biggest bottleneck and we fix it, or we can be a plug-in ops team wherever needed, with our amazing team, mostly based out of Belgrade. In Serbia. So, why does this topic matter to you? Some of you guys are business owners, and some of you guys are at the forefront of doing that as well. So obviously this matters so you can kind of make sure you're automating and creating processes as well as possible to be able to continually improve whatever it is you're doing. So some of the key takeaways, SOP templates for core business functions, and we see why that's important and why we bang on about SOPs all the time. Automation tools for admin heavy processes, which are like things like admin, HR, ops, and applying lean and agile principles to internal ops. So it's not going into like project management agile. This is more about how to remain agile in the sense of being quick to move and iterate, but also staying lean as a company. So not like Lean Six Sigma, but it's like lean as a company of, so they're not the principles basically. Um, there we go. So the problem, chaos without process. So manual tasks mean we have wasted time, missed deadlines, inconsistent deliveries. And the common pain points we see, spreadsheet sprawl, so projects or a whole company being managed on a spreadsheet, which is always a fun thing to see. We saw it a couple of weeks ago with a new client who's an architect, and everything was done off of one spreadsheet. I said, "What if this gets deleted?" And the guy was like, "Well, we're screwed if that happens." So we're sorting that out for them, and moving it all to something that is much more automated, so they can have a lot less risk. Endless approval, so where things need to go through multiple stakeholders to be approved, whether that's your clients or whether that's internally, having that a bit more automated is always great. And we've got an example of that where we've done that recently. And high human error. None of you people on this call ever do this, but some people out there do, that they just get their processes wrong, basically sometimes, and they'll do something wrong. And it results in having to do something again. So automation can help to solve for that. It's one thing that we love to do when we do one of our ops audits is look at how much time, probably shouldn't have said lose here, but how much time you use to do admin. What we love to do is do a percentage split, and so you can do that yourself and have a look at your week. And there's different tools we'll have a look at in a sec to look at your week and go, okay, what percentage do I spend on BD? What percentage do I spend on marketing? What percentage do I spend on actually developing what I'm actually building? Continually improving it. But then what percentage do I spend on admin? So we did that with a client who is an office furniture salesperson on his own, and it's a lifestyle business. And he said I spend 50% of my time on admin. and that was nuts. So we've reduced that by 20% just by putting Zoho CRM in, a really simple project. And he's flying now, which is great. He takes a Friday off because 20% of his week. Take action, plot your processes and time. So this is where you can kind of see where your time's going. If you spend a week time tracking, a little bit onerous, so maybe do it as time boxing. So just put in boxes in your calendar and go, okay, I'm going to do this for 2 hours, this for 2 hours. And maybe just do, if you don't want to do it for a whole week, do a typical week and just draw it out, see what it looks like. And see, okay, I spend a whole Wednesday afternoon on admin, that's fine. Or how can I improve that? How can I do just an hour of admin a week? Just continually look at that and see how you can do that. And then write down each process you do sensibly. I've put sensibly because you don't want to take that too literally. Like, this is how I go and make a cup of coffee and then come and sit down back at my desk. That's just too much. But like any process that you have to do twice within your business, within your role, just make sure you write it down and just see how many you have, how easy it is to write it down, and we'll show you some techniques on how to get that nailed and done quickly as well. And so this is from a book called Out of the Crisis from like the 80s, but it's still pretty relevant, which is surprising for some books out of the 80s. But this was Deming said, if you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. And so if you can't describe, like, so when people say if you can't describe something to someone else, then you don't really know it that well yourself. So if it's a process and you can describe it to someone else, then you do know what you're doing. If it isn't defined, it can't be automated. So if it's not written down, you can't make it automated. And scaling undefined chaos only multiplies the pain. And so being able to try and grow your business and grow yourself and grow what you're doing, if you don't define it and put it down, you're still just living in chaos. And so putting it down in place helps you to be able to get to that next step of where you want to go in terms of scale. So why automate now? When you're growing, it demands efficiency. And so as you grow, you don't want to be starting to go, okay, I want to eat into my profit margin and go and hire six more people to come and do the sales because I need to, or come and deliver because I need to. If you get efficient, your profit margin stays pretty healthy. Automation therefore saves your time so you can focus on the revenue, not the admin. Saves you costs, as we just discussed there. Fewer errors, less rework, but so therefore you're not having to do things twice. And obviously energy, so it just means that you're not going to get burnt out by doing things over and over again. You can actually take the things you hate. And again, that's one of the fun things we ask in an ops audit, like what's the one thing you hate doing? Take that and solve for that, and you are less likely to burn out. And it's never been easier to automate the shot out of your business than right now. And so we'll have a look to see why. SOPs are the automation foundation, firstly, and so standard operating procedures, that is. What are they? They're documented steps for repeatable tasks. So anything you do twice, just write an SOP for it. The benefits, consistency, onboarding speed, and handover clarity. So consistency is always going to be done the same way, which is fantastic if you're wanting to get the same results every single time. Onboarding speed, so if you're giving it to somebody else, if like for the guys in the room, if you're going to hire a VA, for example, something like that, or a new member of your staff or team, onboarding speed is much quicker because you don't have to handhold them through what you're doing. You can say, this is how we do it, go and try it and report back. And then obviously handover clarity. If you're not there, it's way easier to give someone else the reins to show them what they need to do. And this is just a bit of an example from a recent project we did. As you can see, it's super simple. And we'll walk through what these things are in terms of the titles, but like this is, what is it, 2.5 pages for a full SOP for onboarding new clients for this client. And so they have that to have a look at and go and iterate and make better. And we always give them an onboarding, like a business flow as well. So we color code, key it up, and then there's tags to show what's automated, what's not, and also in this scenario we put in what is in what tools. And so obviously now the client has that, they can go and amend any of this if they ever need to. They can give this to a new member of staff. And one of the biggest wins is if you're ever looking to sell your business, this is gold because if you give this to someone who's coming in to do due diligence, it's just a big tick in the box to say, yep, I've got my shit together. And therefore, when someone comes and buys this business, they can just pick all of this up and just run with it. And so you are not integral. They're buying the business, not buying you. That means you're going to get a better multiple. Simple templates you can steal. So this is just a really simple SOP template, like we just used there. So overview, version control is important just so you can show if things change. responsibilities, who's in charge of this SOP or who's secondary in this SOP, who's involved, and what are they doing? Purpose and scope, so why does this exist? What tools are being used, so the person who's reading it knows where they need to go. And then the process steps, so what do they actually need to do? And that can be a step-by-step bullet points or really really prose heavy, whatever you want to do. This one is plus automation, so we've got the same steps, but then we've got video walkthroughs and AI process walkthrough, which you would have seen on the previous example, which we provided to a client. But that just makes it come alive, basically. Like, I hate reading SOPs, especially when they're really long. And so if there's a video that just shows me the walkthrough, then that's incredible, and I can go and reference the SOP if I need to. And if there's an AI process walkthrough, which we'll show you in a sec, that's even better because then I can follow it step by step as well. So why is it easier than ever? Just watch this. So this is me screen recording Loom. Go to a Loom video, get my transcript of me showing someone what to do, and then I just put that into ChatGPT, and then it just gives me an SOP, which I can just go and put into a Google Doc, and there you have it. We don't do that with clients, just because that'd be cheating and I'd feel dirty by doing so, but I do this with my own ones just because it's super easy. So I'd give this to Ivana, who's in our team, for example, as a video and as this SOP, just so she's got both. So she can refer to the video, she can refer to the document, and obviously with everything in ChatGPT, we'll cross-check to make sure it's actually correct. But this was just something random within HubSpot that I was just showing her how to do, so I don't have to do it again. And now she does it all the time when the client asks. And then there's this. This is called Scribe. And so I did an AI documentation for how to book a call with me on our website. So basically, when you get a Scribe link, it will just take you through step by step on what you need to do. So on the screen there, it says click here, set up a call. And then on this, it will say click 8 a.m. So you click that, then type David, and then typing into that field as well, and exactly what you've got to type. And so tools like this just make it so much easier to give someone an automated like a process which you can automate, and this is done in 2 minutes. And both of those techniques, you can go and create a full set of SOPs so quickly. And so it's never been easier to go and automate and start to automate that part of your business where you've got SOPs automatically coming through. But obviously, as I said, this is the first step in terms of automation. Create the SOPs first, which you can then go on and automate. So we're automating admin heavy workflows here. So how you do that alongside making those SOPs is to draw out the flow. So this is an example from someone we're working with at the minute, and we're just drawing out the flow. So you can do this in Miro, you can do this in Lucidchart. I use a tool called Whimsical, just because it's pretty good for me. It lets me do documentation as well as doing these flows within it as well. So you draw it out firstly. You create a key, which you might have seen in the other business process flow that we had. And so you can kind of key up what's automated, what's manual. In this example, we had what client actions are. And you can automate. You can say this is a client action, which is automated. This is one that's manual. You can define by tools, which you would have saw in the other example as well. And then you can add, it's always important to add notes. And so like that box there, we want to automate that so we don't have to do it anymore. For example, you can do things like that. And then you've got notes in here. And again, all of the tools that I mentioned before can all do this. And then we want to automate. So we'll go and ring fence a couple of tasks where we look at them and go, okay, these two manual tasks, we don't want to do those anymore. So let's automate those ones. Let's see how we can do that and how we're going to like connect the dots to be able to not have to do those manual tasks. So we can change it in the key to automated. You can also do this with AI. And so if you're looking at this with by yourself or just with any kind of expert who has AI kind of capabilities, you can start to ring fence, okay, what could an AI agent do? Which parts of this process could they do? Or in general, like what parts of this could be AI? So if you've got a flow that's like writing a blog, you could start to generate ideas from ChatGPT. But yeah, step three, improve, iterate in a new version of the SOP. So this is just an example that we've done recently. You can see there's loads of swim lanes, loads of different colors, loads of different boxes, but a lot of this is automated. So this is a full business process flow for a project take on for a client that we've got. And we ran through this with their entire team, and it does make sense, I promise. And it is all connected, and it all just does flow quite nicely. Um, and then this is their SOP. So their SOP, they really like a lot of words in their SOPs, which I don't like, but this one's like, look at all these versions. I mean, and then there's about, I think it's 50 pages long. So no one's ever going to read that. So maybe they'll just stick to our videos and the business process flow on the left-hand side that we've got there as well. But you never know, someone might be interested in reading that. So use tools with automation built in. So now we've defined what we're doing and now we've drawn out what we're doing. We're using some of these tools to be able to do it. And when you're looking at how to automate, all of these different tools have things built in to be able to go and automate tasks. And so you can see here, like the top left is Trello, Asana, ClickUp, HubSpot, and then the bottom right is a CRM that I use, but like Zero in finance, all the HR tools, they've all got automation built in as well. And so you can start to kind of have a look and see what tasks within those tools that you're doing can be automated. So for example, in ClickUp, it's really easy to make ClickUp send an email on your behalf. So if you put a task in progress, it sends an email out to whoever is tagged in there. So it could be yourself, could be your team, could be the client, and it sends them an email to say, hey, this is now in progress. And so we've recently built a kind of like ticketing system in ClickUp to be able to do that, and it sends loads of really nice updates to the client when they submit a ticket, and they submit their ticket automatically too through a form, which a lot of that is automated in conditional. So that's cool. But yeah, all of these tools can do that. All like Trello can send emails out, Asana obviously. But then within all of these, you can put in steps where if you complete all the subtasks, then the task automatically completes and goes to the completed status, etc. So when you draw out your flow, you'll be able to spot, okay, I do that manually, but could these tools do that? And usually the answer is yes. If it's not yes straight away within these tools, there's other things you can do as well through zapierandmate.com. But one of the golden points of all of this is you can link all these tools together. So all of them have integrations to most of the popular tools. And if there isn't one, again, you can have a look at Zapier. So the left-hand side one here is all of the HubSpot apps. The middle one is all of the ClickUp ones. And so it has super easy, no code ways to go out and connect to all of the other tools that you're using. So you can just start to automate and make the process a lot better. If there isn't an integration, you've got Zapier on the right-hand side. This is just one where if someone books a meeting with me, we'll create a task in my CRM to capture the meeting notes because you just always forget. But in that, there's a process where it creates me that task, and then inside of Capsule, it sends me an email, a reminder to say, hey, you should probably capture these meeting notes just before the meeting happens. So I go to there and do it. So that's just my own process, which I've automated and just made better just because I know I'll forget, therefore that human error is taken away. But yeah, all of these things connect together. Obviously, you can have different custom built connections, API connections, if you ever want them. So one of our clients at the minute is adamant they're not going to move CRM, even though the latest documentation for the CRM I found is 2015, and I've also backed that up by asking the company who built the CRM. They're like, yeah, we don't have any more documentation since 2015. So there's very little we're going to be able to do with that, other than get someone very expensive to come in and just code it all up. So yeah, that's a frustration, but it happens. It also happens where people want their own tool, and so they're like, no, my business is so bespoke, I need to have this bespoke CRM built by someone, and that's fantastic, and it can happen. But when it's kind of 1 to 5 million revenue or to 10 people around there or under, you don't need that. Like all of these tools that are off the shelf are probably going to fit. And so one tool will probably do 70% of what you need to do. And we can fill those gaps with the other tools to create that 30% as well. So you don't really need to spend 30 odd grand. You could probably just get away with spending £50 a month instead for that as well until you get to a certain size when it makes more sense. So automating practice, and so we've seen this flow already, but here it is again. And as you can see, it's all of our steps are coded. And this was us creating an automatic onboarding flow. So the client is using still Go High Level to manage leads and opportunities. Then they go through into ClickUp to manage all the projects. But onboarding was an issue for them. So getting all the correct information from clients and signatures for T's and C's. They were having to go back and forth, which was taking days in terms of a timeline. So that means that they weren't getting started on the projects when they thought they were going to, because usually you'll just say, yep, we're going to sign the client and we're going to start next week. Often doesn't happen. So it kind of messes with your resource. And so, let alone the back and forth in terms of having to do emails to and from, ringing, WhatsApp, whatever, trying to get people's information, trying to get them to kind of commit with their T's and C's. But it also didn't look very professional because they weren't getting all the information up front. So what we did was put automations into Go High Level that cut any manual emails. And so, for example, over here we've got terms and conditions sent with an email to detail them. And then there were automatic kind of reminders as well if the T's and C's weren't signed or were signed. Forms and automations in ClickUp gathered all the info and create the project automatically. So as you get down here, Go High Level sent an email to the client to say, hey, fill this form in, which is in ClickUp, and then task created to be able to do all of the project and create the project from a template. So what was in time actually spent, a 4-hour process bringing on and onboarding a client was cut to 5 minutes. And so you can see there's manual tasks within here. You can't get rid of literally everything, unfortunately. Probably at some point we'll be able to, but some of these things just need to still be checked. So it's like when someone fills in their onboarding form, it still needs to be checked. And so someone had to go and look at that, but that's where the 5 minutes comes in, and it's a hell of a lot better than 4 hours. And so obviously their return on investment was time really quickly, but the intangible return on investment is that their clients are like, wow, this process is super slick. I'm onboarded already, and there's been no back and forth. And so that was a big win for them. Talking about lean and agile, so process without bureaucracy. So being lean, removing waste, optimizing flows, and then being agile, adapting quickly and iterating fast. And so being lean process I'm going through at the minute actually is getting rid of a lot of tools that I have but don't use, optimizing flows that I've got. So you saw one earlier, just so I don't need to bother other people with doing that. So that flow you saw I made in Zapier, that was something that Ivana was doing before, but I was like, we don't need to do that, so let's optimize, and she's doing something better. And being agile, learning quickly and iterating fast as well. So we built an onboarding flow for our clients, but we realized that usually I have all the knowledge in my head. So what we've done is created a process where, as we're going through, I'm just writing everything down. Everything's been recorded, and therefore we've adapted quickly before we start to get loads and loads and loads of clients, which hopefully is inevitable. And then we blend those to be able to give a structured but flexible process. There's nothing worse than being too rigid and saying we've always done it this way, so always be flexible to be able to become more lean and agile as well. And then analyze your time and budget within this. Staying lean, remaining agile. So looking at your time and budget will force these things because they're the most valuable things you've got, your time and then your budget within your business. So next steps for this is to map your processes. What's repetitive? It's just to map that down and have a look whether in SOP, whether that's a business process flow. Write one SOP a week. As you saw, it's super easy. You can just record a 2-minute video of something you're doing and you're doing it anyway, and then just get the transcript and get an SOP. Identify 1 to 2 automation opportunities per month from all of that. And so go in and circle things that you hate doing as a manual task and just say, right, how do I automate that? You're allowed to text me as well to ask if I have any opinions. That's all good. And then we test that, iterate, and scale. So we just would continue to do that every single week, every single month, and we'll be able to get to a point where you've got your business flowing nicely. And so Henry Ford said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And so in terms of being able to go and scale and grow our businesses, we need to do this step. We need to go and map our processes, write SOPs, automate, and then do that process at the bottom there. Test, iterate, and then scale. And that's me. I will stop talking now. There's a free audit link there if you want to share it with your friends, share it with your families. Please do so sensibly. And yeah, we will be back with another webinar in about 2 weeks' time, and we're on time again.